0 against this French Brothers. Who's obviously going to try to get at least a point on the board. I don't want to repeat myself too often, but the maps do really matter, guys. You get $100 for winning a best of 3, but there is always potential for tiebreakers down the line, so every map counts. In the bottom left side, we're looking at the main base of our French Brothers. A veteran at this point, it's DnS.
But spawning over in the top right-hand side, currently the world champion, pretty much. Given that he did come off a win from Katowice, playing for Team Clash, it is Reynor.
I know it's been a couple busy weeks for Reynor after he left this corrupted house, as you would call it. He actually spent quite some time at the Clash house, too. I don't know if that was for media obligations or just something else, but I know he wasn't home for quite some time. Obviously, he did have a computer there, and he's been practicing a fair bit, and he's been trying to get ready for this upcoming season of the DreamHack SC2 Masters. It feels good to get things going again, doesn't it, Ben?
You know, the break, even though I can be like, oh yeah, enjoy a break, after a while I'm like, I need freaking StarCraft, man. I need these things happening. It gives me some regiment in my life, you know, like some proper schedule going. But yeah, it's very nice being able to wake up and I've got StarCraft for the whole day. And yeah, I missed it, honestly. I truly did, because I want to see who actually is the best right now when it comes to these regions, because we've been hyping up Clem. We've been hyping up Reynor, like Cyril, you know, he's never going to miss a beat when it comes to performing super duper well. He's one of the most consistent players I've ever known. But I do want to know who is the best right now, you know, between these guys.
I just really want to know if Showtime can bring one of those all-star Monday night performances once to the DreamHack. Because last year, the DreamHacks didn't really work out for Showtime. And then, of course, there is that young Danish kid who I truly think can shake things up a little bit in the upper echelon of the European scene. Can never count out Gabe either. Gabe did manage to get a 2-0 earlier today, guys. That took place on the B stream. Versus Stefano, so he's off to a hot start, or as he would say, yeah, quite expected start.
Yes, he would. He'd definitely say it just like that too. But yeah, like, do you ever think like this? You know, like Showtime, he's had competition for who is the best Protoss in Europe. I mean, who was the best foreign Protoss? He had a lot of competition from Neeb for a while, but I don't know where Neeb is exactly, but I do feel that when you hold that position...
New York, Ben.
Well, yeah, literally, yes. But when it comes to Max Packs coming on the scene, I do feel that can fuel the fire a little bit, you know? Like, he has somebody else to learn from a little bit, because they're very contrasting styles. And
absolutely.
I know if I was in Showtime shoes, I'd be looking at that kid, I'd be like, oh, like, you can learn a thing or two, but also just... He's hot on your heels, you know. You have to keep on going, because otherwise he's going to overtake you at some point.
Nah, it's going to be really fun. And then, of course, it will be super fun to just watch the progress of a couple of the youngsters that have either made it to DreamHack for the first time or only their second or third appearance, and just see if they can show signs of progress compared to their appearances last year. It's going to be real fun. Reynor did go for the Overlord Scout here, and he saw pretty much everything, Ben, that matters. He saw the Twilight Council, saw the robotics facility. Now, the only thing that as a Zerg player is often a bit tricky here is it just a depth? Are they going up to 3 bases quickly behind this or not? And will there be a Dark Shrine after these adepts are being done, being super annoying?
Yeah, I love how Reynor's handling this so far. He did see absolutely everything. Now, obviously, there could be like an extra couple of gateways going up in a spot where you now can't scout. But look at this. He's got lings here, there, and everywhere, so he sees where a warp prism would leave the base. DnS is doing a good job of just kind of clearing out a path, though. I wonder if the warp prism then follows. But Reynor, he is... If there's one thing that he does super well, it's just getting information, just constantly poking. I feel I took a page out of Cyril's book with that one.
Yep, I think Reynor's early game, especially if we go back to Katowice, was second to none. He truly was always aware, always had the right amount of units, and had them in the right place too. DnS already queuing up an Immortal behind this, and now Reynor is dropping the Spore Crawlers, and that is, of course, in case there was a Dark Shrine. We know there is no Dark Shrine. This is not the greatest fight for the Adepts. The Adepts are going to try to make their way into the main base. That Prism is going to sync up too, but the first Roaches are already out, and Reynor's defense so far looking quite good. Somewhat of a questionable fight here, because we didn't have that many Roaches in the back line, and the Lynx decided to go for it. But Ben, that's not the fight the Lynx were looking for.
No, from a perfect initial defense. I think that second one was maybe a bit presumptuous for those Lings to just fight, but this is looking maybe a little bit better again. Like the Queens, although they are bunching up, this went from looking very good for Reynor to all of a sudden a little bit precarious. Although this is a nice catch for him now, and he will clean this up.
This is probably the best part of the defense so far. Reynor not losing any drones in the third. If I was DnS, I'd cancel this. Oh, he does not cancel it. I would have loved to see him stick around there. Just grab 3 or 4 additional drones and force out more lost mining time. Especially since we seem to be gearing up for a massive follow-up with multiple Immortals.
Yeah, like second Immortal is done now, and he has finished like his 3rd and 4th gas. He is kind of showcasing. It almost looks like he's trying to sell the idea that he's going to take a 3rd base with this. But Reynor, he's being very diligent with this continuous scouting here, and he's not worried about that warp prism on his side of the map. He sees it in the middle with a creep tumor. Reynor, despite a few little errors there, he's being very good about this part of the game, which is probably the most important part.
Yeah, I would like to see a couple of Ravages more right about now, though, because without Ravages, it's going to be kind of hard to deal with this army. DnS is indeed going for the 2-base follow-up, leaves an Adept behind there. That's a bit unfortunate. He does drop the Nexus now, but it's safe to say that he's hoping for some magic here. We've got quite a few Adepts and also quite a few Roaches. It all comes... Oh, the Warp Prism is so low on HP. That's really bad for DnS, because now he loses a lot of micro potential. That's so risky. He does pick up the 2 Immortals. He keeps them... No, he's not moving the Prism Band.
Oh.
What the hell was that?
Wow, that was a blunder and a half. I have no idea what he was looking at, but it was the wrong thing. That needed all his focus, so just clicking it away. Like, he was lucky getting it away in the first place, but not to carry it out. That was just sloppy for DnS.
And now I think Reynor can either just send his unit to the other side of the map or wait until his lair is done and he fires up Roach speed. But yeah, when you lose the Prism and the 2 Immortals, the rest of the Protoss army at this point is just kind of garbage.
Yeah, I mean, 4 sentries, 1 Stalker, 3 Adepts, 1 Immortal. Like, that is 3 units at the Warp Prism going down in one fell swoop, and that takes a lot of production time. And now Reynor, he knows it. He has free reign to do whatever he wants on his side of the map. And that supply, even though it doesn't look too terrible right now, Protoss is always usually behind. I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes on, we're going to be looking at a very, very wounded Protoss.
Yep, I mean, that was just losing all the Adepts in a way was already kind of bad, because you're hoping for a bit more there. You're hoping for that fight to drag on for a while. Maybe a few Adepts get on top of the drones. Since the entire fight took place on one location, that's kind of what the Zerg wants, and the Protoss probably doesn't want. Yeah, to then lose the Prism with the 2 Immortals inside of it. That's normally all she wrote, man. When you go up against someone like Reynor in this matchup, that is something that's just very, very hard to recover from.
Yeah, this is an unusual spot for like rallying units, but they do the job, and they do deflect that Reynor run by. But Roach speed oncoming, and this army is caught a little bit out, but I think DnS can get away. Reinforcements are quickly rushing across the map for Reynor, but DnS is doing a good job of just making sure that he isn't losing much. And wow, Colossus, how do you feel about this one?
If he feels that Reynor is gonna stick on Ling, Ravager, Roach, Bane for a while, I don't hate it. I think a Disruptor, after all the units we lost in the early game, would be a bit too hit or miss. Maybe Disruptors often are, but I feel like you don't necessarily have the units to protect them. So I don't hate it. Just try to get a proper Colossus Stalker army out. It doesn't look now as bad as it lost, as I felt like it was looking a little while ago. And I was really surprised that Reynor decided to do nothing with the massive army supply advantage he had after he gone down that Prism. I guess attacking with Roaches without the speed upgrade is always a bit uncomfortable, right? But I still feel he could have tested the waters and at least forced the sentries to burn all their energy a few times.
Yeah, I think that just goes to show that the Adept hold by Reynor, maybe it wasn't as clean as it should have been, right? That fight with the Zerglings, he had to make a lot more battle units and slow down his tech and stuff. This is starting to get gnarly, though. Like, Reynor has 3 armies out on the map. We see these massive blue blobs of units. Lots of Banelings being morphed. We have lots of Ravagers also in the mix, and I'm worrying now for DnS here because it's going to get very problematic very soon.
Yep, DnS trying to sneak 2 adepts into a mineral line, but Reynor already saw that coming from a mile away with a few dropper lords, or overlords actually he had on the top left side. Reynor is going to try to pounce on this Protoss army. The Baneling's going to have a hard time, I think, finding the best connections. And so far, I think the DnS is making the best of it. I love that overcharged battery. Reynor needs to take care of that immediately, and he does. And maybe it's just a little too much Zerg in the end.
Yeah, too much Zerg. Like the Banelings, even though there's no light units for them to hit, they batter and bruised everything. And then the Roaches and the Ravagers, they also act like a meat shield as well, which is really, really cool. And GG, Reynor takes the first game pretty convincingly as well.
Yes, but there's a little exclamation or a little asterisk, right? Like, what happens in this game if DnS doesn't lose the prison with the 2 Immortals inside of it? I think we're casting a completely different game that's probably still going, because then you can start being... Let's say he has a full HP prism. You can start being annoying, because it's going to take a long time before Reynor has something that's really good against the War Prism, other than just Queens. And that's probably just going to be it for a while. So then DnS could just macro up freely at home, can do whatever the hell he wants, keep Reynor busy, maybe pick off a couple free units with the Immortals. That is a loss that's too painful and too expensive for that phase of the game.
Certainly. And much to DNS's credit, like... And I felt this whenever I watched him. There's a lot of Protosses and a lot of players in general where there's nothing necessarily super flashy about like the micro part. And I mean, obviously losing the Warp Prism was just a mistake, but everything else behind it is exceptionally solid. Because yeah, you said it, like a few minutes later, we looked at the situation. It's like, it's not actually that bad for DNS considering how bad that was. Because he went for a big kind of all in, lost his most valuable unit set, but still macroed very solidly behind it all, which just goes to show that he, like, fundamentally, he has a lot of solidness behind him. So I just hope that he can kind of get things together a little bit and really push Reynor, because, yeah, there was a few situations there where things could have gone a lot better. Even those shades that you talked about, or the adepts, rather, in the third base. You saw last second there, he's like, tried to attack kind of thing, but, yeah, didn't cancel the shade in time. And it definitely could have spiraled out of control, because ZVP, when you play like that, it's very much a tempo-based matchup.
There is one other series of Group C taking place today that's happening over at the B stream, and it seems like Denver has taken the 1-0 lead over Cass in that one, which maybe is not surprising, but I kind of have high hopes for Cass this season. I think he will at least win a couple best of threes. He's been playing some spectacular StarCraft, man. Like, I don't know, Cass is just becoming younger, and he's becoming faster with better micro, because I saw him avoid Novas the other day, and I'm like, what the hell, Cass? I didn't know you were still capable of this, but he really was. Our focus will be on Game 2 between Reynor and DnS, and it is going to be on the map that I mentioned before, Blackburn. And this is a map where I've seen Zerglings kill Archons over and over again, Ben. I know it sounds crazy, and we do get a little crazy when we watch a lot of StarCraft, but it has taken place. Let's see if that's going to happen this time. In the bottom right side, we're looking at the main base with a man who is now down 0-1. It is our French Protoss DnS.
And spawning over in the bottom left-hand side as the red Zerg, it is Clashes Reynor.
Do want to let everyone know that as soon as the Latin American part is done, and that should be at the end of this week, then we will kick off NA. And I know a lot of you guys are excited for NA. Of course, that is the region that holds Australia, Scarlet, Neep, and M. Canning. I mean, we gotta mention the Ken. But this week, all our focus will be on Europe and the Latin American scene.
Yeah, I think America is also fairly open. I mean, the one region that I'm like... I do think Special is the overwhelming favorite in the Latin America, especially with how well he's been performing recently. I don't want to spoil any results, but yeah, Special not only looking healthier, but also playing healthier too. Oh, wait, is this? Am I watching Rotterdam here?
I wouldn't do this. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you wouldn't scout. You wouldn't scout, but like...
I always scout in PvZ, Ben. What are you on about?
It's just the late scout, mate. The late scout.
I have the Ruddy scout. Lambo makes fun of me. He thinks it's the worst scout in the world because it's too late to hedge block, but it still hurts your economy, okay? No, I think he's going to try to cannon rush the third here and then get Reynor to cancel it. I wonder if Reynor is figuring... Yeah, well, the Overlord is going to get into the natural now, and he's like, that gateway feels a little bit late. Well, you've got a forge, and this is where you're going to start moving your own overlord. But I don't think you can keep this base alive anymore, and this could very well be a sexy start for DNS.
Is this drone, was it specifically down to start making a spine caller? But I don't know what DNS does, or rather, I don't know what Reynor does from here.
Oh, Reynor's going to send a drone into the main base of DNS, and he's going to build a hatchery there.
Is he... Okay, like... So what does DNS do about this situation? He is getting a Zealot already, which I like.
Yep. Or he's going to proxy hatch? Maybe Reynor's going to proxy hatch.
I was thinking maybe blocks off. Does he go for his opponent's gold here?
He's going full blind. That's what he's doing. No, he's going to take his own gold first, and then maybe also take the gold of DNS.
I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it, because actually this is a huge investment from DNS.
Okay, you actually caught up there a little bit for me. Hopefully it was just for me. Yeah, I feel that DNS could have cancelled one cannon. Is that what you just said?
Yeah. I was like, that's a huge investment for one hatchery. Like, that almost doesn't pay for itself, you know?
This is actually going to be a bit annoying for DNS as well, because he's not building an adept yet. Oh, this is bad for DNS. The Zealot gets surrounded, does take out one Zergling, takes out two Lings, but now he's going to lose his own forge. And that means that the floodgates are open, and it's really hard to re-wall behind all of that. I guess he's okay with it, but it's still going to be a bit annoying.
Huh.
He's cannon rushing the gold. What?
Yeah, this is getting wild. Like, Reynor? Is this going to be after... Okay, so he's lost a hatchery. Is he going to cancel this goal base? I mean, he kind of has to, right? Like, there's no point keeping that up, or... He's going to be struggling for lava, though, as well at this point in time.
I think he lets it finish up, because eventually I think Zerglings can take care of it, but also it's another big investment by DNS, because, like, look at the amount of cannons that DNS has warped in at this point. 5 cannons and 2 pylons. It's not like DNS got a great economy going on his side of the map. Like, he's got a few more probes, but that Stargate, for instance, is only halfway done.
You know, if I had to say something, though, I am liking DNS's position more than Reynor's. Like, Reynor, he's had to transfer those drones across the entire map. Like, mineral-wise, he's got to be in worse shape overall, right? But, I mean, it's so hard to call anything in this situation.
I mean, Zergling speed is done, but yeah, it's going to be a little bit too late to save that hatchery. Reynor is going to try to take out the pylon, and he will succeed in doing so. I mean, it's just wild. It's just important for Reynor that he figures out he's playing against the Stargate. Look at the amount of energy on the main base of DNS. He's got 200 energy banked up on the Nexus. You don't see that very often either.
No, and I mean, maybe that just goes to show that this game probably didn't go quite as he planned, even though he was the one cannon rushing and stuff. Oh, Kevin, is that a Roddy wall as well?
What do you mean, that there's a hole?
A double-double. Yeah, the double-double for the Adept.
Oh,
I actually like it.
Yeah, the double coverage, as I call it.
Yeah, that is the Roddy wall, right? Like, in case he got Bailey busted one time, it's like, you gotta get me twice.
I mean, I feel like you're giving me a lot of credit, because this is actually a good thing. But yeah, in a way, it's something I do, because I have been bailing busted a decent amount of times in my life.
Oh, he has to be careful, because DNS doesn't know about this creep spread, right?
Yep.
Like, if that Void Ray went a little bit more north, it could kind of get a little bit problematic. And
so now DNS is going double Stargate, and he's going to try to get up to 3 bases. DNS's Adepts will finish up here. The Zerglings will take care of the Adepts, but not before. Now Queens show up, and DNS is like, what the hell? Okay, DNS is going to be stuck on 2 bases for a long time. He was building a fleet beacon, Ben, but he cancelled it. Now, he's misreading this so bad, Ben. He thinks he's being all in by like a proxy hatchery, but he's not. No, mate, no.
This is incredibly problematic, and you know, this kind of thing can happen when a game doesn't go how you planned and you had a specific plan in mind, but yeah, he's just misread the game entirely. And hey, Reynor, he's getting mass queens, he's getting mass lings, he's getting upgrades, and
so okay. DNS cancels at least 2 batteries. He lets another one finish up though, but he canceled the fleet beacon, and now he's rebuilding the beacon, which means it's delayed for over a minute. Now DNS scouts that base, and he sees the bad news that it's not just a hatchery that was there, Ben. It's a hatchery that's fully saturated.
I mean, from it being a pretty okay situation for DNS, that massive misread, and he's not going to be able to get up a third for a while. Like, these are soon going to be +1 lings, and there's enough of them. And Reynor, he got himself in a bit of a spicy situation, but he's the one coming out on top, it looks like.
And like, look at DnS. He's flying around the Oracle. The entire map is covered. He's going Tempest. Okay, are we just gonna try to siege the gold then on your side of the map? I mean, that's obviously very, very awkward. You know, Tempest is not gonna help you secure a Nexus, man, because the DPS of a Tempest is a little bit underwhelming. Oh, poor DnS.
It's tough though, isn't it? It's like, what do you do? I mean, he's got.
I don't know.
Look at this. You tune into this game, you're like, what happened? Because, mate, I have no idea what's going on. Like the Tempest idea, I kind of like it for having something to pick away at Queens. Because how many can really get over here? Because the Void Rays can't really fight them straight up, can they? Although, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I kind of like them, honestly.
It takes too long. That's an issue. Like I would like it if Reynor had a really bad economy and he was like on like 35 drones.
Damage.
And, yeah, but one Tempest is starting to run very low on HP. It's still alive though. We are gonna save it. Good news is we have plenty of batteries, but by the time that DnS gets a third base up and running, then Reynor is gonna have 28 Corruptors.
He's definitely gonna have a few, Kevin. He's gonna have a few, and he can't get up this third base either, and these Tempests, they've pushed stuff back. He is getting a fourth out here. I mean, DnS... Okay, now he has the tough choice where it's like, okay, do I get up this third base or do I go and sort out that gold base?
Yeah, it's one or the other. It seems like he wants to get his own 3-base economy going. Normally, you could say that maybe if he had some great air upgrades up and running, you know, already +2 finishing up, maybe he could win a fight against the Corruptors, even if he's been incredibly outmined over the last few minutes. And that's not going to help out either. Oh, poor guy just wiped in a couple of Adepts on the left side. No, Reynor should... Okay, Reynor should have waited. 2 Adepts were about to warp in. He could have killed those. And now he killed the pylons. So DnS gets his money back. There's nothing great about this game for DnS.
Yeah, the silver lining was he got his money back for Adepts, whereas, you know, Reynor's been mining from 2 gold bases. It's not a good silver lining, Kev.
I know. Reynor's gonna try to cancel this Nexus again for the 5th time. I mean, sure, the Tempest and the Void Rays are doing their thing, but, well, Reynor gets cancel number 6 or something, without exaggeration.
Definitely something along those lines. I mean, Resources Lost Hub isn't looking good for Reynor, but the game as a whole is looking pretty okay for Reynor, because like a 2-base Protoss, and I mean, it's basically 1.5 base at this time. A mothership? Wow.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of it. I don't think it's great, but yeah, there's nothing that DnS could really do. DnS has had the misread of the century. This game...
What happened to all the Corruptors that were being made? He cancelled them?
Well, okay, I don't like that move by Reynor. I don't think that's very smart.
Like, yeah, no, I don't know why he cancelled them. Like, now he's going into lots of Queens, but he's got so many resources. Was that I have no idea, mate. That's
very silly. Because those Corruptors would have been excellent, especially in overwhelming numbers. Reynor's gonna try to pounce on this Nexus again, this time with Ling Bane. Baneling's got decent connections on a few of the gateway units. If the Nexus finish up, we can obviously keep it alive with battery overcharge. It will finish up. The circling count is dwindling. I feel that Reynor indeed made a pretty big boo-boo by going Hydras instead of Corruptors. With Corruptors, this would have been easy. With Hydras, it becomes a bit harder, and it actually allows the Tempest to be good for longer too, right? Because Tempests are very good defensively against Hydras.
Yeah, I mean, like, 4 is enough to one-shot Hydras, and Hydras, they're not cheap units. And the thing is about all of this as well, he needs to be careful, though. He's getting caught way out here. But the carriers, they're not bad against the Hydras either, honestly.
Nope. It still looks very bad for DnS, guys, because he's still down a base, maybe 2 bases. It's hard to keep track of the amount of bases that Reynor truly has at this point, but he's being outmined. He's got no bank. Reynor is still very rich. I do think Reynor's life would have been easier with Corruptors than it will be with Hydras, but I don't think he can really go wrong.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, it's a 51 Protoss, and even though this army, it's kind of scary. It's also... It's kind of bad, let's be real. Like, if that goes up against all the Queens, if the Queens can get across the map with the Hydra, he's going to have a rough time, because there's nothing to support this. And 8 Voids, 2 carries, 3 Tempests, it's just not enough. Although, there's no Overseer with this.
DnS should have been active with the Tempest here a bit earlier. Like, it was silly to have them exposed above creep for so long, but this is kind of where Tempest could shine, right? They could have been hovering around the right side of these rocks or the debris and get quite a few free shots off. I don't think that's gonna make the difference, but at least you would be able to start chipping away at this army. Now Reynor is maxed out and he's ready to pounce on you. Does Reynor have overseers? You said, yeah, he's got 3.
All right. So lots of queens outside his base, lots of creep absolutely everywhere. I love this creep spread on the right side of the map. And Reynor, he's rolling in. It's a lot of Hydraling Bane. The mothership is doing its job here, throwing down a spell and whatnot. But that is a lot of Zerg just wrapping around this army. But Kevin, the shield battery overcharge, it's still not been dealt with. It ran its full course there. That was
yeah.
But DnS wasn't stood on top of it.
The battery did whatever it could, but DnS still loses 15 probes that he really couldn't afford to lose. And now the carriers are out of interceptors. I believe one carrier did go down there too. There are Banelings in the natural getting marvelous connections. And I think DnS knows what time it is. It is time to leave this game. GG.